Fancy a dip in the British Sea, mate? Think again. Our legendary coastlines have been turned into absolute open sewers by greedy water companies. Grab your sick bucket, because what you are about to hear is a bloody disgrace. These are the most toxic seaside towns in the United Kingdom. Town 10, Lyme Regis. They call it the Pearl of Dorset, a jewel of the Jurassic Coast where families flock to hunt for ancient fossils and eat fish and chips by the iconic Cobb Harbour Wall. But the only thing ancient here is the crumbling infrastructure pumping pure filth into the waves. The sewage situation became such a catastrophic joke that the government actually stepped in. Did they force the water bosses to clean it up? Absolutely not. They literally de-designated Church Cliff Beach as a bathing area. That is their brilliant solution, mate. Instead of fixing the pipes, they just ripped down the swimming signs and told everyone to stay on the sand. Imagine saving up your hard-earned quid for a brilliant summer holiday, only to be met with blaring red warning notices because the water is basically a biohazard. It is an absolute travesty. You are looking at a World Heritage Site that is being treated like a giant flushing toilet, and the local authorities have simply thrown their hands in the air and surrendered to the muck. Town 9, Cullercoats. Heading up north to Tyne and Wear, we find a classic, picturesque crescent bay that looks like it belongs on a vintage postcard. You have got families in thick coats building sandcastles, completely oblivious to the fact that the sea stretching out before them is a simmering soup of bacteria. The Environment Agency has slapped this bay with a dismal poor rating for 5 consecutive years up to 2025. 5 years of letting the public paddle in peril. The local sewage network is so ridiculously overwhelmed that this beloved beach teetered on the very edge of being permanently banned to the public forever. Think about that for a second. We are not talking about a remote forgotten puddle. This is a prime northern holiday hotspot hiding illegal levels of E. coli beneath the crashing waves. The sheer audacity of letting kids splash around in water that could make them violently ill is frankly sickening. It is a monumental failure of basic hygiene, dragging a proud coastal community straight into the gutter. Town 8, Ogmore by Sea. Just a quick drive from Cardiff. This Welsh paradise boasts gorgeous sand dunes that roll gently into the river estuary. It sounds idyllic until you realise W. Cymru, the local water company, is essentially using that river as a wide open latrine. This coastal stretch holds a deeply shameful record. Out of all the shores in the country, it is one of only 20 bathing waters to be branded with a poor rating every single year since monitoring began. It is a permanent, unapologetic failure. The muddy water washing over the sand is relentlessly carrying untreated human waste straight into the ocean where toddlers splash and play. Local surfers are paying the highest price, constantly complaining about agonising ear and stomach infections just from catching a few waves. They are quite literally swimming through other people's feces. The contrast between the breathtaking Glamorgan scenery and the revolting reality of what is floating in the water is enough to make your stomach turn inside out. Town 7, Bognor Regis and Felpham. Now we reach the absolute pinnacle of corporate gaslighting down in West Sussex. Water companies love to spin the yarn that they only dump sewage during extreme rainfall to stop our homes from flooding. Absolute rubbish. A massive investigation by Surfers Against Sewage exposed the grim truth in 2025. They proved that Felpham suffered over 1,200 hours of dry spills. That means, under a blazing summer sun, with not a drop of rain in the sky, they were actively pumping raw sewage right into the holidaymakers' playground. The wider area endured over 4,000 hours of toxic discharge. It is an entirely illegal dry weather scandal playing out right next to the classic pier. Imagine sitting on the beach on a glorious afternoon, totally unaware that underwater pipes are spewing pure muck mere metres away. It is no wonder the neighbouring stretch at Aldwick was slapped with a brown flag. It is a terrifying hidden menace disguised as a sunny day out. Town 6, Wallasey and New Brighton. Looking out from the Wirral Peninsula across to Liverpool, this stretch of Merseyside coast boasts a stunning historic lighthouse and a grand coastal fort. It is a postcard picture of British maritime pride, right up until you take a deep breath. If you are strolling down that grand promenade and catch a whiff of something genuinely foul on the sea breeze, do not fool yourself into thinking it is just rotting seaweed. That is literally the combined sewage system of Liverpool and the Wirral overflowing straight into your face. The brilliant campaigners at the top of the Poops platform crunched the numbers, and the data they uncovered is nothing short of apocalyptic. In just one single year, United Utilities dumped over 9,400 hours of untreated waste right onto this coastline. It is a staggering, unfathomable volume of filth. You have massive commercial ships gliding past a sandy beach that is secretly harbouring one of the absolute worst contamination rates in the entire north of England. The local community deserves so much better than being treated as a literal dumping ground for millions of litres of raw effluent. Town 5, Sandown. The Isle of Wight is the quintessential British summer getaway, heavily relying on droves of family tourists packing onto its golden sands every year. Picture the scene: bright beach umbrellas, excited kids with ice creams, and waves gently lapping the shore in the peak of summer. But beneath that cheerful holiday veneer lies a deeply sickening biological reality. The entire Eastern Bay, stretching across Sandown, Shanklin and Yaverland, has been subjected to over 4,000 hours of sewage discharges, courtesy of Southern Water. They have taken a world-renowned holiday island and effectively transformed it into a colossal open-air potty. It is an absolute tragedy for the hard-working locals and a nightmare for visiting families. We are constantly hearing horrific reports from devastated parents who have spent an absolute fortune on beachfront hotels, only to have their holidays ruined because their children are stuck indoors vomiting. Kids are catching severe stomach bugs simply by swallowing a mouthful of seawater whilst jumping in the shallow waves. It is completely unacceptable that a traditional family splash in the ocean now comes with a high risk of violent illness. Town 4, Blackpool and St Anne's. Welcome to the most famous, noisy and neon-lit coastal resort in the entire United Kingdom. Millions flock to Lancashire every single year to experience the dizzying heights of the Blackpool Tower and the flashing lights of the endless arcades. But step away from the candy floss stands and look at the grey, foamy sea battering against the concrete promenade. The reality of the water quality here is utterly grim. The beach at St Anne's alone logged nearly 6,000 hours of untreated sewage being pumped into the Irish Sea. Meanwhile, Blackpool North, sitting right in the heart of all that tourist glory, has been officially slapped with a humiliating poor water rating. Families travel from all over the country for a thrilling weekend on the famous roller coasters, but instead they end up taking home a severe bout of gastroenteritis as a wretched souvenir. The sheer scale of the corporate pollution is a massive slap in the face to a working-class town that relies so heavily on tourism to survive. It is a crying shame that beneath the bright, iconic illuminations, the sea is choked with a relentless cocktail of household waste and dangerous bacteria. Town 3, Plymouth. Down in Devon, might we find one of the largest coastal cities in the south facing a real-time ecological disaster. Plymouth is an absolute maritime treasure, boasting the stunning Art Deco Tinside Lido and a harbour usually packed with elegant sailing boats. Yet the waters around Plymouth Hoe East are being systematically poisoned. South West Water has shattered all boundaries of basic decency, logging an unbelievable 9,239 hours of raw sewage dumped straight into the sea. That is not an accident. It is an industrial-scale biohazard. People are taking a plunge in those famous saltwater rock pools or enjoying a paddle in the historic harbour, completely oblivious to the fact that they are floating just meters away from one of the largest fecal discharge valves in the entire region, and millions of litres of untreated human waste are flooding a glorious urban coastline. The utter lack of respect for the locals and the environment is staggering. Imagine diving into what you think is a refreshing, crisp ocean, only to realise you are basically swimming in an unflushed toilet. It is a spectacular ruin of a proud naval city. Town 2, Scarborough. Heading back up to North Yorkshire, we hit the very birthplace of the British seaside holiday. Back in the Victorian era, wealthy folks flocked to Scarborough specifically for the legendary healing waters. Well, here is the deadly irony. The sea that used to cure you will now send you straight to the hospital. The iconic South Bay, watched over by the epic ruins of Scarborough Castle, has repeatedly failed basic safety tests, earning a grim poor classification. The geography of the bay acts like a giant tragic bowl, trapping all the disgusting bacteria ruthlessly pumped out by Yorkshire water. Ask any local where they swim, and they will laugh in your face. The residents avoid the South Bay like the absolute plague. Yet, on any given sunny weekend, the promenade is packed with innocent tourists eating fish and chips, while their kids paddle in heavily contaminated sludge. It is entirely two-faced. You have a bustling historic fishing harbour, serving up coastal charm on a platter, whilst hiding a putrid secret just beneath the tide. Letting unsuspecting holidaymakers bathe in Yorkshire water's filth is nothing short of criminal negligence. Town 1, Newquay and Fistral Beach. We have reached the absolute rock bottom, the ultimate surfing tragedy. Fistral Beach in Cornwall is supposed to be the beating heart and soul of British surfing, an absolute dream destination. But what is happening here is a total unforgivable collapse. By 2025, the sewage pollution from catastrophic pumping station failures became so extreme that major internationally recognised surfing competitions had to be completely scrapped. Surf schools were forced to cancel lessons for crying children because the waves literally turned brown and toxic. This is not just gross, it is incredibly dangerous. Innocent people who accidentally swallow a mouthful of this ocean are developing severe, life-altering conditions like Meniere's disease, which causes incurable vertigo, alongside horrific bacterial infections. We are watching the most staggeringly beautiful corner of England being systematically destroyed by unchecked corporate greed. The very executives raking in massive bonuses are turning our premier coastal crown jewel into a biological weapon. It is enough to break your heart and boil your blood at the exact same time. Are you as absolutely raging about this filthy scandal as I am? Drop a comment below and tell me if you have ever fallen sick after a British beach holiday. Do not forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so we can keep exposing this rubbish. Stay safe, mate.